Chad, what number is today?
Number 167.
Well, it's number 157. Today's March 8th, 2018. I'm Tim Yandel, and I'm joined by Chad Corbett and Tom Owenby. We're the three stooges for today for the Mastermind call. And as always, we're looking to hear from you about the good things that are going on in your lives and anything that we can do to help. We've got two people in the queue already. Press star 6 and 1, and you'll be placed in the queue, and we'll be happy to take your questions and answer anything that we can do to help you move the ball down the field. We're ready to do that anytime. Tom, you'd like to add anything before we get started?
Nothing specific today, Tim. Just to remind everybody, we're here to help, so don't ever hesitate to reach out to us at support@alltheleads.com, or if you're in your account area under the support tab, contact us. We track all those items and assign them to the appropriate people to get back to you as quickly as possible. That's pretty much it.
All right, great. I'm glad to hear that and appreciate it. And Chad, I'm just going to go ahead and get started. Michelle, I saw you just joined us. If you'd hop in the queue, that'd be great. Star 6 and 1, and we'd love to hear from you as well. And
before we get started,
Chad, go ahead. I'm sorry, bud.
I want to just, if anybody who's on this call who missed the Mastermind call yesterday, just a reminder, the role play call. We do a role play call the first Monday of each month, and yesterday we had role play call, I think number 28. But if you didn't make it to that call, you can always find it posted in your subscriber portal under the conference call archive. And if you're not a subscriber, you can find that in our Facebook group, All the Leads Mastermind, along with these calls.
All right. That's great. Let's get her rolling here. We're going to take caller. The last 4 digits in your phone number are 5587.
Hi.
Hey there, Nancy.
Can you hear me? Hey, how's
it
going?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Wish I had some sunshine up here. Rainy, cold. Anyways, I wanted to ask a couple things. First question would be your reference for vacant insurance for a home that's vacant, if you have any resources or know of any insurance companies that do work in that area. And then the second question would be some of the leads that I've gotten show that there's no actual address in the county that I am in. And so I was just curious what that might be specific to. They have an attorney or a PR also who's out of state, out of the county that I'm in, and the address doesn't correspond to our county, but the probate is here, filed here in our county. So I'm just curious what feedback you have on that.
Sure. So I'll go in the order. The two companies I've used for my own vacant policies are American Modern and Vacant Express. American Modern, and the other is Vacant Express. And in Virginia, those are, in Virginia, those have been the lowest price for me. There was somebody from Florida that asked a question in our mastermind group last week, and I found a link to a Florida-specific vacant property. So there may also be state-specific ones. Florida is a challenging insurance state. I don't know that not every underwriter will write there. So there may be state-specific, but I think those two have a pretty good reach.
And are those, do they do national? Because I'm in Oregon.
Yeah, those are both national companies.
Okay, could you repeat them one more time? I'm sorry.
American Modern. And Vacant Express.
Vacant Express, okay.
Yep. And the second part of your question, so you have to file probate in each place that you have assets. So you never know the real story until you talk to the family, but common scenarios are someone moves in with a family member across county or state lines, and that becomes their mailing address, even though they still own a house back in, wherever they spent their life. So they may have passed away with the last known address of Washington, but they may still own their home, and it could be rented out or sitting vacant in Oregon. Other scenarios, other scenarios could be they could have owned a second home, so they may have owned a home in Pulaski County and another one in Doddridge County. And they have to probate in each county for each specific asset. So it could be a second home, vacation home, or they could have moved out of their home, their place of residence to, because of their situation.
I gotcha.
What you'll find is that those are typically the people who need the most help. So it could be the biggest opportunity on your list. If you can imagine, the stress that comes with this and all the logistics of settling an estate, that stress is just amplified by them being absent. So your service can be even more valuable to those few on the list.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you.
Okay.
Only other thing I'd add also is that if you just go online and Google for it, you can find if there are any people who are specifically offering vacant property insurance in your local market. Literally just type in vacant property insurance and a pretty good chunk of folks come up. And American Modern, the one that Chad mentioned, is usually the one that comes up near the top of that. But almost, Farmers writes it. There are several people that write that kind of insurance.
Okay, great. That's good to know.
All right, super. All right, next caller we're going to take is ending in 6322.
Hello?
Hello there.
Hey guys, it's Mary again. Can you hear me?
We hear you just fine.
Okay, great. Well, first off, I just wanted to say thank you for motivating me yesterday to get on the phone and make the calls. I got through all my lists yesterday. I had a lot of no answers. But I did have a few reoccurring objections, and I just want to see if you guys could help me out with those.
Sure.
So one of the objections I got, you guys hear this all the time, I know, was the attorney has it handled. So I tried to, butt in and say, well, hey, a lot of attorneys don't know, there's no policy on the house when it's sitting vacant there. There's no insurance. And, I got hung up on a few times, and I feel like that's just where it ended. I've seen if maybe there's a way we can get past that. And also, I know my letters went out because I actually received a call from somebody that said they got my letter. But also I got a lot of people saying that they haven't received the letter yet. And, I tried to play it off like you usually say, like, hey, well, the postman must have lost it, no worries. Luckily you have me on the phone. And they kind of just said, well, I'll just wait until I get the letter. And I was wondering if, I should keep pushing it past that or just say, okay, just wait till you get the letter to talk about it.
Let me ask you this, Mary. Do you feel like there is open air in your conversation? Like, are you giving them silence to fill with these objections?
Just after pretty much that's where it goes to. After I tell them why I wrote the letter and why I'm contacting them, that's what it usually goes to.
Okay.
So,
do you want to hear suggestions or do you want to role play?
Well, maybe hear suggestions first, and then if you want to try and role play it.
Okay. With the attorney objection, it's if you can kind of paint the picture of, what the attorney does is legally driven. And that's their their responsibility is the legal aspects of settling the estate. But the other 1,074,000 things that have to be done pretty much fall on the shoulders of the personal representative. So if you can find a way to paint that picture for them, well, and use empathy. Say, well, yeah, I can understand why, most of our clients actually say that before they understand what we do, just to kind of just real quick explain what we do. If you can imagine, the attorney's going to handle the legal aspects, and he's going to tell you everything else that needs to be done. So we're kind of that bridge between what the attorney doesn't do and what you're required to do. And we really try to absorb a lot of that responsibility and stress for you. Does that make sense? And you can kind of casually explain it that way. So don't ever say, well, the attorney doesn't do, don't go the negative route with it and throw their attorney under the bus. Just paint the picture of, you know what, you don't know what you don't know, and that's okay. Why don't you meet with me, and I'll kind of show you the value in what we do and why why this service exists. And that usually kind of they'll understand that, and as long just keep the negative language out of it. Don't say, well, the attorney won't do this for you. Now, bringing up the vacant policy objection, that's if you feel like they're rushing off the phone and they're going to hang up anyways. That's a really abrupt way to kind of stop them in their tracks. So the reason that comes up as a suggestion is okay, well, listen, a lot of people say that, but one of the first things we do for every client is make sure that the assets are secure. So has the attorney put a vacant house policy on any real estate in the estate? And a lot of times that will stop them, and then you can engage in a conversation, and they'll realize, there are some things I haven't thought about. Because in most cases, they're early on in the process, and they really do believe the attorney's gonna do a lot more than they actually are. And it's either they can find that out the soft way with you on the phone and a helping hand, or they can find it out the hard way by being fixed and realizing all that responsibility is theirs. So you can work on your language and how you want to say it, but I would first try to paint the picture of the gap analysis. So the attorney does this needs to be done, and that big gap in the middle, that's all yours. But my service completely fills that gap. We bridge the gap between what you have to do and what the attorney is going to do. And that's why I'm calling, because the earlier we get involved in the process, the more valuable we are to our clients. And that's a good way to present it, figure out your way to say that.
Okay, that sounds really good. Yeah, I like that, taking the positive route rather than trying to throw the attorney under the bus. That's good. So give that a try when you jump back on the phones. Kudos to you for very quickly jumping on the phones and taking action. That's what makes people successful. Like if you just go out there and thanks for raising your hand today too in front of everybody. It takes some courage. But good job getting on the phones, and if you ever need any more help between calls, just give us a call and we can role play through some of that. Thank you so much, Chad. And from what you said yesterday, thank you for falling on your face to make all of this possible for all of us, because I think you do really have a good program. I know it took a lot of effort to get where you guys are. All right. Well, I'll let you guys get to the next callers. Thank you.
Tim?
Hello.
Hey.
Hi.
Who do we have?
This is Chris from Doylestown, Pennsylvania.
Hey, Chris.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
All right. So myself and my colleague are 3 months into all the leads. We just 2 weeks ago sent out our third mailing and have had success. We've already listed and sold one property and got a listing, and are about to launch that listing within the next 2 weeks.
Nice.
So we're feeling good about it. But this past Friday night, after the last mailing that went out, we got a really vicious email that came to our front desk at our office from our website, complaining. It was very. I was very disturbed by it, because it said that she had just lost her husband of 54 years old, and how dare we were chasing the ambulance. It was really tough. It was a tough email to read. How, that she had been in the mortgage business for many years. She'd never seen anything like this. Anyway, so I I kind of put it in perspective and realized maybe that letter just hit on the wrong day at the wrong time. My question to you is, it was a pretty bad email. It was vicious. Would you recommend that I email her back, or that I just
Absolutely, because you need to clear your conscience. I can hear that, and I'm the same kind of person. Like I hate to disappoint people, and I hate to be misperceived.
24 hours later, I got a nasty phone call that I feel might have been the same person, and it was vicious, spewing. I mean, it wasn't, there was certainly no foul language or anything like that, but it was. I mean, this person was fired up, and I couldn't. I started by saying, I'm sorry for your loss. I barely got the word loss out, and I was hung up on. And there was a part of me, like you just talked about, that I absolutely wanted to hit redial, but I thought, this is not a person that is going to be talked to, at least not at that moment.
Yeah, you're not going to reason with them on the phone. They're not going to listen. I don't recommend calling somebody back.
Has anybody else that you've talked to, since all the leads has been in existence, gotten any of those nasty emails or calls?
Yeah, this guy right here. So the one that I got was actually a very similar situation. Mid-50s, lost her husband. Just happened to be a realtor in my market, and somebody that
And this was a lender. She was a lender too, which I thought was really odd that she didn't understand that. But anyway.
Yeah. So this lady wrote me a scathing email, and I mean, it was one that made me want to crawl under my damn desk.
That was it.
And then I thought, and so the internal dialogue, just so you know how I handled it, was, you know what? Are you doing the right things for the right reasons? Then stand the fuck up and
not to get all religious
respond
on you,
to her.
but I will. I mean, I did a lot of soul searching and praying over those next couple days, which was just this past weekend, and thought, what does God want me to do on this one? Because I certainly didn't, God knows my heart and what we put into those letters and the real reason why we do this. We really like helping people, but boy, did she get the wrong message from that letter.
Okay, so here's what I want you to do, and this worked well for me, and I've used this with, thankfully, not too many other folks, but it's worked really well. I want you to sit down and write her a handwritten letter, and this is there's a lot of benefits here. One is it gives you a chance to reinforce your why and why you're doing this. It gives you a chance to sit down and write sincerely, and I'm going to caution you to never apologize when you're doing the right things and you're offering to help people. You have nothing to apologize for. Don't give them that power. So you want to sit down and write, you misunderstood the outreach. Let me help you understand what it is we do.
I am afraid to write that. I mean, I hear what you're saying, because that's exactly how I feel. I think that add absolute fuel to the fire. Like, if my feeling was
options. I was
going to send it.
Hear me out, please, hear me out. So I've dealt with this on many occasions. You write the letter, and that will at least get it off your chest, and it will reinforce what you're doing. So you know for sure, you know what, I'm in the right here. I was doing the right things for the right reason. I was offering to help. Now, the second decision, the first decision is to write the letter. The second decision is, do I put a stamp on this and mail it? And I'll leave that at your discretion. The benefit to mailing it is she just might read it and realize that she was kind of out of line, right? So she may realize your why. The same way you're going to write it and kind of reinforce it, she may realize those same things. That, okay, so this is a person that was trying to help me, and I just blistered her, and that probably wasn't fair. What's probably happened is she's gotten a bunch of letters from investors. She may have talked to one. They may have offered her 50 cents on the dollar, or went straight to the house and didn't give a shit about the rest of her situation. And she's lashing out. And just remember, she doesn't know you. She doesn't know anything about you.
Oh, she referenced my firm. She referenced how, I can't believe all the years you've been in existence, you would allow blah, blah. She doesn't realize that I'm one of the owners of the firm, so she was writing me to complain about me.
Yeah.
Well, so it was.
I mean, you're taking it personally, and this is an exercise that I think will let you shed that responsibility. Like, you didn't do anything wrong. There's people out there that are going to misinterpret things. How many people in the world like police officers, right? So if you're on the right side of the law, typically you love them, right? But the other half of the world doesn't.
My husband's a police officer.
Half the world thinks a cop is the scum of the earth, and the other half, we're grateful and we're happy that they're there and we support them wholeheartedly, right? And so it's just people's perception. You can't control that, but you also can't let it control you. We've had people quit because they've gotten one remark like this. They could have helped hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of families throughout their career, but they let that person and fear have control of them, and they quit, tucked their tail, and ran. So the community doesn't benefit from the service they were offering because one person's ego shut them down. So you got to make the choice. Like, is that me, or am I going to stand up for what I believe in and the reasons I'm doing this? And only you can answer that and write that letter.
So I actually thought about that, and believe me, I went back and forth about it. And then I thought, should I send it out on my business stationery, on one of my business cards, or should I send it out on a sympathy card? Because that is how traumatized this woman was with that letter that came from us. So, I feel like the last thing she wants me to say is, but this is why I did it. But anyway, I hear what you're saying. I know that I'm the one that's got to get over it. I literally had to talk myself off the ledge all weekend long. Like, wow, 300 letters go out, and then one person reacts that way. When the month before that, it was, hey, I'm so grateful I got your letter. Can you help me out? You know what I mean? So
why didn't you? So you need to focus on that. Before we move on, I'm going to share the outcome of what happened to me when I first did this. So I sat down, I wrote my letter, I sent it to Vicki. Within an hour of her receiving the letter, she sat down and wrote me like this diatribe. She wrote me like a 4-page email thanking me for what I was doing for the community, apologizing for misinterpreting what I was doing. And we've done deals, and since then we've done deals, and it actually improved our relationship. So I'm not throwing you into the fire, like out of the pot into the fire here. I'm telling you that letter can actually it can actually change people's perspective and start a real conversation. And it did for me. And Vicki and I have a great relationship. She misinterpreted what I was doing. She didn't take time in the moment to kind of look at the full service I was offering. But once she did, she thought it was great, to the point where she actually congratulated me and thanked me for doing it for the community. So there's some encouragement.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, it's always a tough time when that stuff happens, and there's a lot of positive ways to handle it, and we appreciate you coming on and talking about it.
All righty.
All right. Super.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Our next caller ends in 7477. Michelle.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Hey, Michelle.
Doing great, thank you. I just wanted to call and touch on a few things that I heard on some concerns on so counties, and if it's not in the same county, and what do you do about it? That was one of my hesitations, a couple years ago whenever I had first started, and it actually, now it's no discounting on anyone, no matter if it's the different city, out of my jurisdiction, and sole reason is because you never know if that's going to turn into a referral or if there's multiple properties, and that's just the one that's listed. And so both of those things have happened. So just making sure, not wasting any time or devoting any time on trying to filter anything out, and just do it and send it and stick to the system. It ended up turning into some of the biggest ones that we had the opportunity to help on and becoming multiple deals.
Great. And Michelle, you've been with us for, what, a year and a half now, or longer?
No, a little bit longer. It's been 2.5 years now.
2.5, okay. And you guys are consistently, I know we speak every once in a while, but consistently you guys are generating deals and kind of coming from all different directions. You're one of the people who have really gotten it. I guess are getting the full benefit. So business coming from attorneys, from sellers, from buyers, like the full cycle. What's been your biggest realization in all this? Like, is it? I'll just leave it at that.
So it definitely didn't come overnight. There was the rejection, like I just heard from the last lady, and it really did hit home. And what it helped me to focus on is what can I do in my system to add and show that value to where it's coming from contribution even more. So that was something that we looked at, and we've added to and course corrected on a quarterly basis, basically, from the probate brochures that just shows all the different values that we're offering, to the personal letter where I'm sharing my story, just because it has happened to, I know I've shared with you, Chad, with whenever I lost my mom almost 7 years ago, and now I held that back to some of these until I was actually on the phone with them, but now they actually get it in the letter, so it's created more of my phone ringing from the letter being sent instead of it coming from me making that first contact.
Yep. So, and that's something just to underscore. I mean, we recommend, especially any of you guys, if you've ever been through this and you've experienced it firsthand, you can work that into your marketing. I mean, nothing's better than empathy in this situation. Like, people want to know that you understand what they're going through, and if you've been through it or you've helped people through it, thankfully most of us haven't had to do that, but try to work that into your letters and into your conversation, so you can build rapport really quickly when they realize that, oh, this person's doing this because they actually understand how I feel and they understand the stress I'm going through.
Yeah, and Chad, honestly, I think the biggest thing is just being a connector, because they may not have that need right now. They may have a bunch of other stuff going on. And the faster you can bridge that gap and just touch on their sweet spots, the more they're going to come back to you or think about you, be receptive.
Yep. What, I was going to have you tell us a story. Well,
wait, what's that?
How many? I was trying to think of how I wanted to ask this. Let me just ask. So, how many probate deals did you do last year, like in the full year?
Between sellers and buyers, we did 17.
And your buyers, were they sellers first and then buyers, or were they buyers that you found just through calling the list?
It's actually both. Okay.
So, because I know, like, when you're kind of doing this, when you're using the full system and kind of talking about, a broad scope, like, you find business from places you didn't expect, right? So you find buyers when you didn't. I think it's been about a month ago, but we had a gentleman who he made a phone call to a personal representative whose dad basically didn't own much of anything, but he listed his own $1.6 million house. So it's if you just reach out, and something else you said I'll underscore is, not focusing on scrubbing a list and eliminating leads, but scrub the list by making phone calls. Like, once you speak with someone, you understand their situation, try to offer them help. And if you can't, then they get removed, not off of what you see in a spreadsheet. But yeah, I know. I mean, you guys have done incredibly well, and it's I think that your mindset has a lot to do with it, and the fact that you're using the system is probably the other half of it. But
yes, and it's a system. Because if you look at anything where your business comes from, there's some sort of a system to it. So the faster you systematize what you're doing of what works, and just doing it even more, just focusing on getting 1% better at it, then it's going to come. But the most important thing is the consistency of it. It is so worth it to leverage that piece out, whether it's a virtual assistant, someone, because if you look at your dollar per hour versus a virtual assistant, then it's worth it to make sure that those letters go out, to make sure that you're, spending your time in the phone calls, whatever it is that you feel that you're not doing and it's holding you back, to take care of that and pay someone else to do it so that you know that it's done. And now you just get on the phone and do it.
Yep. How many of your transactions have came from an attorney or I guess I'll just say from professional referrals versus your marketing effort?
I don't know, honestly, off the top of my head. I mean, actually a couple listings that we're working on right now and wholesale deals have came from it. So, I mean, these 4 that I can think of off the top from the last 6 months.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
great. Well, thanks.
It's the 400 to 600 ROI for the last 2 years. So it's been a blessing, and as I've thanked you before, I'm so great to be a part of this program, and whatever I can do to help, let me know.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for taking the time. So Michelle's obviously one of our veterans guys, and we never get her on these calls because she's religious about going to her B&I group and being part of that. So luckily today B&I was canceled or rescheduled, so we got to hear from her. So thanks so much for sharing, Michelle.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chad.
That's just great. Always good to hear your voice. Hey, we're moving along here. We've got one more in the queue, and we've got room for some more. Star 6 and 1 if you'd like to chat with us, and let us hear your good news, bad news, questions, answers, whatever they are. And our next caller ends in 1189. Belinda.
Hi, how are you all?
Good. How are you today?
Okay, a quick question about junk out. I actually have a client I've been trying to, work with, and it's kind of difficult to get contractors when you don't do steady work. But at any rate, though, she had mentioned to me that for junk out, there are companies that just won't do the junk out because apparently in her mom's home, she did a lot of like canning and putting, fruits and preserving fruits and stuff in jars, so they don't take glass. And I'm just wondering if you all have some like special company or some way that I can identify companies that will take glass. I guess I could Google it and then call each one or something like that. But I'm just wondering, because you all do this on a regular basis, if there's some kind of hint or something like that in terms of trying to find a junk out company that actually would do that, except glass.
I've never heard that.
I mean, filled with jellies and stuff like that. So
what I would say is call. I mean, I've never heard of that, but a junk out crew that's worked in the foreclosure niche is bound to have dealt with glass. So I would find the top HUD or Fannie Mae listing agent in your market and just call them and say, hey, I need a junk out crew. There's some canned goods. Like, who have you used that you trust? Like, the reason I recommend the HUD or Fannie Mae is because they have to, they're going to be working with crews that are, they have junk out and property preservation crews that have to have insurance, and they're vetted by the agent and the lender before they can be on the list. So you won't have to kiss any frogs. You can just go straight to a reliable junk out crew. And I mean, some of the stuff I've seen in foreclosures, they'll throw anything away.
Okay.
So I think that's probably your path of least resistance.
Okay.
Are the jars that are sitting there, are they mason jars? And the reason I'm asking is if they're literally canning supply jars, you may find that the easiest way to move these is put an ad up on Craigslist that says, I've got 500 jars, they've been used and all that. But people who do that kind of canning, they are always looking for a source for mason jars. If they can get them, they'll come pick them up, take them away themselves.
Okay, that's a thought. I mean, even if it has like stuff in them, like jellies or whatever, if the person
they'll take them and wash them. I mean, glass is glass to them, and they usually replace the collars and the lids.
Okay. I don't know if they're masons or not, but yeah, I'll check into that. Yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, okay, because they were saying they didn't want the glass in the dumpsters was the issue, from what the lady told me. And then I think price was also an issue as well. But okay, good. This is why I asked, because that little hint there may be the key right there. All right.
That may also be. It also might be a fact that your whatever landfill that they're doing local to that has some specific requirements about the contents of a dumpster, and they are called on to recycle it, and they just simply don't want to do all the separation. If they're going to junk it out and literally take it out, they don't want to have to worry about recycling it and separating it.
Oh,
maybe the estimator just didn't have the heart to throw away jelly.
That's possibly it.
They could have kept it. Okay, because I know I did have a client that had like a lot of reptiles, and it was something special that had to be done with all the aquariums that they had, glass aquariums. So they couldn't just dump those. They had to have I think it was a special pickup crew for those. But okay, all right then. Thanks a lot.
You always come up with the most interesting stuff.
No
week
kidding.
after week.
It's always got we always get some cool tale that's the latest thing you've run into.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Belinda.
Okay, sure.
Ending in 0313. Caller ending in 0313.
Hello there, this is Amy.
Hi there, Amy. How are you today?
Good. As you can see, I'm persistent.
Indeed you are.
Yes, I'm, pretty new with this, and been a prospector my whole real estate career, but calling the expireds and for sale by owners, so major use of rejection. But I need to really get better at this because it's all just new to me. And so I try to get my script comfortable and understand and be able to handle all the objections. I think that's really the key to all of this, to feel comfortable at doing it. And so in the beginning with the script, because I've been listening to you guys, and I heard that guy yesterday on the role play, which was interesting because he sounded like how we're used to talking. Like he started his script as, hi, this is blah, blah, blah with Keller Williams Real Estate. So that's how we're used to doing it, and I have really steered away from doing that. But it's very awkward for me to not say that I'm a real estate agent. So, and so the script, has been, similar to what you're saying, that, I'm calling to see, first of all, if you received the letter and blah, blah, blah. And every time they've said they didn't know what I was talking about, no one has said, oh, yeah, I got the letter. So everyone, it's very consistent that they've said they didn't get the letter, and it's very consistent that they say, well, what is this all about? And then, I say, about got together the local team of professionals to help you with all aspects of the. So I'm working on that, but it's awkward because it's really different than what I've done for a million years prospecting. So I guess it's a question of just practicing. And then the second thing is I got that objection again about the letters. I can't do anything because of the letters. And it turned out the guy was going to be moving into the property anyway, so he's not going to be selling it. And I asked him to tell me more about that, and he said, oh, I've been instructed that there is absolutely, nothing that I can do. I can enter the property. That's about it. But there's nothing else that I'm allowed to do until I get these letters. So I guess I feel a little confusion on, can somebody actually list the property if they haven't gotten a letter? Like, what's the whole, the more that you can tell me would be helpful.
Yep. So when they're officially appointed as the administrator, they can list the property. A lot of times the attorney will tell them, just wait until I tell you to, because they don't want to babysit real estate agents and buyers that are pushing them to get it closed. So if something happened where typically when 95% or more of the time when we speak to a personal representative, they've already gotten the letters of testamentary and they've been appointed as the administrator. It sounds like you've uncovered some where maybe there was a scenario where they, during the initial hearing, maybe weren't appointed because some of the paperwork wasn't in line or something like that, like they didn't have whatever they needed for the judge to say, okay, you can be the administrator. If that's the case, then yeah, he can't list it. I mean, I think he might have been exaggerating, like saying he couldn't go on the property. If you're an heir to an estate, you can certainly go and secure the property. You might not be able to move into it, but it's not common. Like, most people are going to be in a situation where they can list right now in that first conversation. I've actually never had one that wasn't already appointed by the court. Now, I'm not in California. You guys have, judicial backlog that's longer than most states. So it's, if they haven't been appointed as the administrator, all you can do is just try to find ways that you can provide value to them and service until they actually get to that point. And for him, if he's moving, just maybe it's to connect him with a moving service to, listen, I know it sometimes takes 2 or 3 months to get good movers because they're backlogged. Would it be okay if I have Jimmy give you a call to kind of come over and give you a free quote for when you are ready to move? But just find some way to do something valuable for them.
I did that. I had a good conversation with him about, he said there was a lot of furniture, so, we talked about different ways to get rid of it and sell it and this and that, and I gave him my information, and he was really happy. But I guess, the letters thing is where I'm getting bogged down. So they're appointed as an administrator before they get these letters?
So they'll be I guess I'll say they're designated as the administrator. Sometimes in the will, and if it's intestate succession, then basically someone responsible from the family will usually stand up and go to appoint themselves. And then during the initial court hearing, one of the documents, one of the probate documents, is letters of testamentary, and that's basically saying this person is authorized to be the personal representative. And the attorney and the probate clerk will help, fill out all the documents and present them to the court, and the court will ask for objections. Like, does anybody object to this person being the administrator? And if nobody objects, usually then it's passed through. It could be a situation where they didn't get it during the initial court hearing because they didn't have the list of heirs, or they didn't have a list of assets or liabilities, or something they were required to bring to court they didn't have. The best way to get an understanding of this is call the probate clerk and say, listen, I talked to a gentleman the other day, and quite frankly, I would like to be better prepared when I talk to the next one. Can you help me understand exactly what the timeline is and how he might not have, why he wasn't appointed at this point? And just have them walk you through the timeline. I've had really good luck with having those people in the clerk's office, give me 15, 20 minutes and walk me exactly through the local process.
That sounds great. I'll definitely do that. So it seems like, I don't know if it's just, the luck that the people I've talked to, but they haven't gotten letters, most of them, and they haven't gone to court, and they haven't been appointed. That's, they seem to know that maybe it was in the will that they were going to be the personal representative, but it wasn't finalized, and so they seem to be held back, like, I can't really do anything till I know for sure. And I guess so
it's interesting because out of the thousands of agents we work with, you're the only one that's ever really said that. So I wonder if it's just that your county is backed up, like if there's a backlog in the court systems. And I wish I had more experience dealing with it so I could tell you for sure, but you're honestly the first person who's really uncovered this. So I think your county clerk is probably the one with the real answer.
Great. Okay. I will do that. Thank you.
Did that get you taken care of? Are you good to go there?
I'm going to call the probate clerk and see what they have to say, and maybe that sounds like that can answer some questions. Okay, great.
All right, super.
Thank you.
All right, that's great. We'll move on. We got some other people in the queue, and we'll keep rolling here. Next up, caller ending in 9487.
Hi, this is Victoria McGuire. How are you guys today?
We're great. Thanks for calling in.
Good. Listen, I wanted to go back to the junk outs if we could, because I've had a couple of mobile homes that were part of the probate, and one of them, it was like a hoarder type situation, and I was able to get my my junk guy out there to give them an estimate, which it's not cheap. I'm sure most people realize that. It was about $2,500. Well, the problem is the mobile home is probably only worth about $40,000 tops, and them having to shell out this money up front. Also, because this person had a legal guardian before her son stepped back in and took over. I guess there was some kind of family issues there. They had to have an official appraisal of everything that was in there. Well, the appraisal came back that there was like goods valued at $7,000 in there, but if you walk in this place, it doesn't look like any of it's worth anything. It just all looks like a bunch of junk, and it's overwhelming how much stuff there is. So I don't know how to deal with things like that. Like when there is things that are of value, the people are out of state. It's not like they're going to come and put it on Craigslist. And I don't know how I can help these people. I didn't know if anybody had any ideas for that.
So with situations like this, I kept different levels of estate sale companies or clean out crews. A situation like this, I would have called my flea market guy. So there are people who make a living working local flea markets, and they make that living because they basically get free inventory. So what I would suggest, and there's really no easy way to do this other than going to the flea market. I happened to find my guy because he was across the street one day when I was looking at a foreclosure house, and he started talking. So it was just by chance. But if I had to go find this person, look for a local flea market, preferably one that's weekly. So, they have they're running it as a business, not as just a kind of a side gig. And start to talk to people there and see who you can meet. Like what the guy would do for me is he would come in, trash out anything that was obviously trash. He knew a lot of church leaders in the community, so he would donate anything that he knew he couldn't sell, like clothes and things like that. But anything that like that personal property appraiser saw $7,000 worth of value, that's a big number for somebody working a flea market. So if you say, listen, I need this place cleaned out, you can have everything in it. I just want to know that anything that can be donated, donate it. You can have the rest. And according to this appraisal, there's $7,000 in value. Can I count on you to do this job, or do you know somebody that could you point me to somebody here that might be interested in this? And if you have a $7,000 appraisal in hand, you should be able to find somebody who will jump on that deal, because these are people who they're not afraid of work and they enjoy this kind of stuff. So that would probably be my first move if I were trying to find a solution to what you're dealing with.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
The other, if you can't find that, you may call some estate sale companies. If you jump on estatesales.net or estatesales.org, you can find a directory of about 22. There's like 22,000 estate sale companies on the directory, and you may find you can click from their listing to their website, and you might find some. Look at what level of sale they're doing. I mean, there are definitely estate sale companies out there that specialize in $100,000 and up sales, but there's others that will do a $10,000 sale or less. And you may call one of those companies and say, hey, listen, I've got a $7,000 job, but there's a lot of trash involved too. I'm looking for a company that I can partner with to take it all. You can get the $7,000. The seller doesn't want to split it. You can have it all, but I also need you to completely deliver the home broom swept. And you'll probably find an estate sale company that'll take that job, because typically they're going to take 25 to 30% of the gross, not the entire amount. So if it's appraised and they can actually get $7,000, that could be a more profitable job for them than say a $40,000 sale, or I guess a $20,000 sale.
Mhm. Okay. That sounds good. Thanks.
Yep. Good scenario. That was a new one.
Yeah, well, that would be one more question I would have. I'm sorry, I don't mean to monopolize all the time, but, I'm all about helping the people, too. It's a big reason why this appealed to me so much. But I did, when do you say that that's a little, too much for me to do when I'm when there's no one here present and they're out of state and you're, maybe going to be going out there to the house to coordinate all this for them 5, 6, 7, 8 times, whatever. And you're not going to get the listing, say. I mean, where do you kind of draw the line on that, or what are your thoughts on that?
So it really comes down to having the right partner. So like having the right people in the right seats. So you don't want to partner with somebody who needs babysat, and that's why with like clean out crews, I recommend going to somebody who has a proven track record. So go to an REO agent and find who they're using. They're probably reliable and they likely have insurance. That's why I don't pull clean out guys off Craigslist. They work cheap, but then you got to babysit, make sure they showed up, worry about the house being locked when they leave, just crazy things like that. So it comes down to the quality of the people you decide to partner with. You need to find an estate sale partner that once you really, if you can get access to the property. One of the things I do every time I go to a property, first thing I do is slap a combination lockbox on it. You can buy them on Amazon, like I forget which ones I buy, but they're just like a 4-number combination lock. They're $10 a piece or something. And I keep them in my truck, so I never have to go back out to a house. I'll convince the seller or the caretaker, whoever had the key when I first go there. I say, even if it's the only key, I'm like, I'll give you this code. I'm going to put this on the door, so as I'm helping you and we introduce you to people, we're not chasing keys. Fair enough? So get a lockbox on the house. So there's no real reason for you to go out there. Introduce the estate sale company to the seller. Let them hammer out the deal of, we're going to give you all $7,000, whatever. And then if you have the right estate sale company, they'll go out there and do the job, and they'll collect their $7,000 from the seller, and then you can just simply manage it with a phone call here and there to the seller to see how things are going. So just be careful to protect your time and don't become too involved in it. Don't pass the money through your company. And just kind of, that's you're the hub and the wheel. Your job is not to be the spokes. You're the real estate spoke, but you don't need to do all the work that's associated, because you're not getting paid for it and they are. So when you have the right partners, it's actually not a lot of work. I mean, you can get a house completely cleaned out and really never go there. Typically, I would only see my probate houses one time, maybe twice if I had to get it cleaned out and go back for photography the second time, and that would be it. The listing agent would bring me the lockbox the buyer's agent would usually bring my lockbox to closing. And very few homes did I ever go to more than twice. And it was because I just had good partners, and I set clear expectations with those partners that, hey, I need you to do this, this, and this, and then get back to me. And they did it. And if they don't do it, just go find new partners.
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks so much.
Yeah, great topics. Tim, who do we have next?
Sorry, I was on mute and I was talking to myself. We have 2 more people in the queue. 7327, go ahead.
Hello?
Hey there.
Hi, it's Russell Arkin. How are you?
Good. How are you, Russell?
I am doing fine. So I have 2 questions, but let me just piggyback on your the last caller and your response, since I was at my mother's house this past weekend, who died recently, cleaning it out. And one good resource for at least donations of things which would have a value to other people but don't necessarily have monetary value is Habitat for Humanity. And they will accept furniture, they will accept clothing, they will accept kitchen wares and sheets, towels, and blankets. So, we boxed all those things up, and they're going to come to the house later this week and take it all away.
Great. Yeah, and a couple other good ones. So Habitat, they also have the Habitat Restore. So if you are doing construction on a house, when you demo out the doors, like old clawfoot bathtubs, vanities, you can actually donate that. Windows, like, it's amazing what they take, and they sell it to raise money for Habitat. Also, Salvation Army is good mainly for things like clothes, blankets, soft goods like that. So those are also good resources.
one thing to note about the junk hauler, I'm the son, and my sister's down there. She's the daughter, and when you're separating out, you have to do a lot of separating out of junk from resaleable stuff if you're going to engage with an estate sale person, because those are, judgments that only the heirs can make, really, not, or the executor, if that is the case. And so it's not necessarily sort of an automatic process. You've got to cull out the junk from what, or the garbage from what is suitable for the estate sale.
Yep.
So anyway, here are my questions. My sense, and I'm just getting started with this, is that while there are some near-term conversions from sending the letters, a lot of the conversions are going to be longer term. So my question is whether you or any other people in the program you've spoken with have experimented with additional letters, postcards, pamphlets, etc., brochures rather, over a longer period of time to stay in touch with the people who are not necessarily making a decision right out of the box.
Yeah, for sure. So like in a perfect world, you should call and mail until you have completely either done business with or opted out everybody on your list. But because most people don't have the bandwidth or the budget to do that, we try to teach a generic system that we can apply to agents of all types and businesses of all sizes. So at a minimum, we recommend 3 letters and 3 phone calls. At the maximum, I recommend speaking to everybody on the list to find out, how you can help them, and then and only then do you opt them out. So if you can afford a 12-month campaign, absolutely do it.
And would you send, so in your online arsenal, there are basically, you're suggesting 3 different letters. So after those 3, would your suggestion be just to repeat the cycle?
Yeah, I've done a lot of A/B testing. When I was doing this, I'm a geek and I overanalyze everything. So I did A/B testing. I changed the envelope. I added the return address, took it off, changed fonts, this and that. What I found, and it took me a couple of years to really accept this, but the content of the letter is not necessarily as important as the timing of the letter. Now, there are certainly letters that you guys never see that I just completely dumped my money on. They just didn't work. But all the letters that are there have worked. They've been proven and generated, at this point, multiple millions of dollars of commission. So if you were to just arbitrarily choose one letter, customize it with your own, experience and business, but, your kind of business core values, and then fire it off 12 times, I bet you would do as good as if you had 12 individual letters. And I didn't believe that when I first started this, but through a whole lot of time and tracking of my direct mail, I kind of proved that to myself. I would get pretty consistent results. Like I sent, before I kind of stepped out of my real estate business, I was using the probate options letter, and I sent the exact same letter 3 times. Now, there are people who have gotten a higher mail response rate by, writing highly customized letters and doing a sequence. And I have too. Like, for example, the first 3 months I used the options letter, I got nothing. But we had a subscriber in Boise, Idaho she sent 1 letter to 175 people and listed 5 houses in her first week. And I was like, damn, I'm going to use that letter. So I sent the letter, and because it worked so well for her, I insisted on, I kept it going for 2 lists and had nothing, no phone calls, no response. And I'm like, this letter doesn't work. And then all of a sudden, one Thursday evening, my phone rang. I listed 5 houses in 2 days. So it wasn't like I got the same result. If I look at that campaign, that list over a 90-day period, I listed just as many houses from it as I did the ones when I was using the 1, 2, 3 sequence. For what explained reason, I just had a dry spell. And then I went back to the 1, 2, 3 sequence and then back to the options letter, and I never noticed a change from there. So don't kill yourself trying to have the perfect letter content. It's, for most folks, it's about being there at the right time and having a very broad offer of helping them in many different ways. So
okay, and so with respect to your experimentation, what do you have to say with respect to the optimal shape envelope?
I 100% will only send a greeting card envelope. I've tested a business against a greeting card, and I've wasted a ton of money trying to save money. The greeting card envelope, and I like the ivories or pastels because they look more like greeting cards. I chose to remove the return address because out of the first 13,000 mail pieces I tracked, I had 6 return envelopes. So for me, I thought, there's no reason to really worry about the ones I'm missing because there's so few of them. So what if I remove this, and will that create more curiosity? Like if you get a greeting card without a return address, you're more, in my logic, I would be more likely to open that to see who it was from, right?
Right.
So
right.
I pulled the return address off, and that's where I settled in. Like I consistently, I sent the options letter 3 times, greeting card envelope, hand address, live first class stamp, and no return address. And that was the mail piece that worked. But I'll tell you this, in direct mail, what's working today might not work tomorrow or next month. Like it could change, and it's hard to explain. But if Dish Network starts sending the same envelopes that you are, you might get lumped into the trash with them. So you got to, always be willing to change. Like don't take what I'm saying as gospel. Speaking to everybody on this call, if you try what I'm saying and it's not working, don't get discouraged and quit. Change it up. Like Jay Abraham said, there's no such thing as a marketing budget. It's a test budget. And what's working today is not going to be the same thing that works next year this time when we have this conversation. So don't be afraid. Don't be so rigid that you insist you always send, the mail piece I just talked about. Don't be afraid to change it up and see what works for you. But we've found consistently greeting card envelopes will almost always outperform, for the personal representative, will almost always outperform a number 10. Now with the attorneys, we have seen success in sending number 10 envelopes to the attorney as business mail with the docket number referenced on the outside of the envelope. So there are exceptions.
Do I have time for one more question?
You do, but you're going to have to kind of keep it short. And we've got one more in the queue, and we want to be respectful of everybody's time. So do her quick. All
right. So the question is, talking to a couple of people who've been in the program for a while, they say that the lowest hanging fruit are the personal representatives who are out of your local market. And so what wisdom do you have for getting traction with the local PRs?
The process is really no different. The local people, a certain amount of them are going to have already handled everything before the death because they knew it was inevitable. And a lot of times they needed to free up, Medicaid payments. They needed to clear assets so they could get Medicaid payments. A lot of them are going to know their own realtors and they're going to list with them. So, you're pretty much, you can guarantee a 90% failure rate on every list. But that means you have a 10% conversion rate, right? So it's the local ones, more local people just simply won't need help, or they will have the relationships to handle this on their own. It won't be that stressful for them. But the ones that do need your help, they're going to respond to the same thing that the out-of-town people will. They'll be overwhelmed. They won't know where to start. And it's really the same.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate your help.
Yeah.
All right. We appreciate you calling, and we're going to take our last caller. Caller, it is ending in 3099. You've been waiting patiently. Go ahead.
It must be me.
It is you.
It is me, Kent Keenan. I'm brand new to this. I'm not even a member of your group. I just got invited to it. But to your mason jar and your $7,000 investment, I would suggest there's a group, Everything But the House, that I use that would come in, appraise, and tell you what is garbage, what's not. And also there's in Louisville, Kentucky, there's a number of groups that will come in and clean out a house for nothing, and that's for the individual that had the trailer. And what they will do is they will just simply take all that material, what's in the house, and they'll sell it, they'll distribute it, or whatever, and that's their compensation. And that was just my input.
So, knowing that person in Louisville, how would you suggest, if somebody doesn't know a person like that, how would you suggest finding them?
Hopefully, whoever they contact, their agent would know, you know.
No. I mean, if you're an agent or an investor looking for such a service, such a person, how would you suggest they find them? Like, how did you meet this guy?
Actually, I met him it was on Craigslist.
Okay.
And I had to go through a number of people before I found the ideal person that has been doing this for the last couple of years for me.
And was he posting an ad as a service?
No, they were, yes. We'll clean your
And
house out for
do you
nothing.
remember? Okay, so it was a house clean out ad.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a takeaway that I was looking for, guys. Just another idea, if you're looking for more of the flea market style clean out guys, you may check on Craigslist under services offered, and you could do a quick search for clean out or junk out, and look at your local Craigslist listings.
Yeah, and as you were talking about that, Chad, I'd scanned down the list of the local markets in about 3 counties in 3 places, and in almost every case there were more than one. There were several people offering to do that. Several of them looked as though it was a business, and then several of them were individuals. But there are places like Mr. Haul It, Mr. Clean It, Sally Clean Out was another one I saw. And these are all local businesses. There are people who are making a living doing what you're talking about. So
Exactly.
it's all there. All right. Thank you very much, and Kent, thank you for hanging in there that long to offer that little bit of help. We always appreciate that, and we look forward to working with you.
Yeah, I've been doing it for years, so I just thought maybe, pass on something. Very interesting call, and thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, all right. Well, you consider joining us, and then we'll hear about your successes. Thanks a bunch, man. All right, Chad, you're going to get to make the Sullivan speech.
All right, guys, great call today. Lots of new topics. This has been a really good call. I want to challenge each of you to take something you heard here, something you've learned, go back, put it into action, and come back next week with a success story. Thanks a lot, and have a great day. Nailed it.
No, you did so well. Hey, thanks a lot, guys. I'm going to turn the recording off, and we'll call it a day. Good luck.